Hi, it's Corrina. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. Today we're going to do a fun beginner's yoga class all about the hips. If you don't have time to practice with me right now, go ahead and add this video to your watch later, and then whenever you have the time, you can come back and join me. I'll be right here in your watch later waiting for you. You don't need any props for today's class, but if you have a folded towel or some dirty laundry off the floor, having a little prop to help you out can make these poses a little bit more comfortable. So we're gonna start today by coming into some cat and cow to get our spine nice and warmed up. You can just set your prop off to the side for a second and join me in a tabletop position. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. You can keep the toes tucked here if that feels better for you, or you can let the tops of the feet just rest on the floor. From here, we'll start to lift our gaze and let the belly drop, coming into our cow pose. Exhale as you round the belly, lift the shoulder blades, coming into this cat pose with a nice arched back. Inhale, dropping the belly, lifting your gaze once more, cow pose. And exhale, hollow out the belly, stretching between the shoulder blades. Inhale once more, coming through your cow pose. And exhale, cat. Push the floor away from you. From here, we'll just bring our hips back to our heels. We're going to come into a little child's pose. So go ahead and bring the knees a little bit wider, so kind of towards the edges of the mat. Maybe they don't go all the way. And then the feet will kind of stay together behind you. So the toes are kind of not necessarily pressed together, but kind of coming together behind you. And then as we start to fold over into our child's pose, I want you to think about keeping your seat and your heels connected. So inhale, lifting the arms up nice and tall. Move your curtain a little if you need to. Nice long spine, and then starting to bring the hands down in front of you. Notice that as you start to bring the upper body forward, we really have a lot of space here. So think about pushing your hips back down towards your heels. And maybe you just want to stay here. You could also grab your towel or prop, place that between your heels and your feet to just bring the feet a little bit closer. If it feels okay, you can start to walk the hands out on the mat, either resting on your forearms here or actually even bringing the head all the way down to the mat if that feels good. So here we're just taking this really nice, gentle hip opener. So starting to stretch through the hips. If you'd like to bring a little bit more stretch through the arms as well, you can bring the hands together and then send the thumbs toward the back of your neck. Breathe for a moment. And then we'll bring our hands back to the mat, pressing into the floor to lift ourselves back up. And if that felt plenty intense, you can keep your legs in the same position. If you want a little bit more, spread your knees a little farther out. So now my knees are past the corner of the mat. Once again, finding a nice tall spine here. And then folding over our legs. So reach down for the mat. Use your hands to help you walk down. I'm going to just come to my forearms here because now we're getting into a much more intense hip opener. Breathe into any tension you're feeling. You can kind of just sway a little bit here if that feels good. Just sending a little bit of movement into this tight area. And if you want a little bit more, you can walk the hands out a little farther. Bringing the forehead to the mat once more if you would like. Breathing here. And then we'll plant the hands back on the mat, using our arms to lift us back up, bringing the knees back in together here. And from here, we're going to transition to come sit in the center of our mat. Go ahead and keep your left leg bent with the foot kind of pulling in toward the groin. If this already is uncomfortable, you can grab your proper pillow and just give that leg a little bit of support underneath it. And then we'll extend our right leg long. So in this position, keep the heel of that right foot planted. So the leg is not in, but the toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. Already you should be feeling quite a bit of intensity stretching through that inner thigh. I'm going to actually bring my little prop underneath this leg over here. Feels really nice. So then finding this nice tall posture, thinking about a little string lifting us up, really creating a lot of strength between the vertebrae. And then you can start to just gently walk the palms forward. But keep your chest lifted here. So this isn't about just folding the body over. I want to think about kind of keeping the chest lifted, keeping the spine straight as much as possible. And it does not take much to really feel that intensity here. Totally fine for you to kind of back out and just stay sitting upright in this position. Breathe into this nice intense stretch through the inner thigh. And then if you were folded over, go ahead and push yourself back up. And we'll do the other side. So I'm going to just bring myself a little bit over to this side of the mat, bringing my prop with me. So now the right knee is bent, the right foot kind of comes in towards the groin. And this left leg is extended out next to us. So toes facing up. Notice that as you're kind of pointing over your foot, you maybe don't feel the stretch as much. And then when you think about bringing your hip bones forward, now you really feel that activation and that stretch. Breathe here. I'm definitely finding a lot more intensity on this side, so I'm using one hand back behind me just to kind of help hold me up here, sitting up nice and tall. Breathe into that sensation you're feeling. And if you'd like a little bit more, you can start to walk the hands forward just a little bit. When you're feeling a deep stretch, you always want to feel it in the belly of the muscle. So if you're starting to feel intense or sharp pulling sensations near the origin and insertion of the muscle, so those are just like the ends of the muscle, then you want to come out of it a little bit. So trying to keep the stretch in the muscle itself and not pulling at the little attachment points. Another great thing to remember when we're practicing yoga is to relax the face. Bring a smile to the face, relaxing the eyebrows, relaxing the jaw. A lot of times when we're trying to release tension in the body will just move that tension from one place to another. So it's really important that we notice if we start scrunching our face or squinting our eyes, grinding our teeth, right? That would be an example of the body just moving tension from one place to another. But we want to focus on trying to keep the entire body relaxed and calm. So if you're folded over the leg here, go ahead and walk yourself back up. And then we'll bring that left leg in as well, coming into our little butterfly pose here for a moment. So the bottoms of the feet come together. You can either take hold around the ankles here or around the tops of the feet here. I'm going to take my ankles so that I can stay nice and lifted, chest pulling through. And then once more, if you want to think about ever so slightly, just starting to kind of bend over the legs a little bit. I like to use my elbows to just kind of gently press into the knee, just kind of inviting it to come a little closer to the mat. Breathe, smile, relax your face. And then we'll walk back up once more. And from here, we'll extend the legs out long in front of us, coming into our Skandasana or staff pose, but I want you to keep your knees bent. You can just kind of plant the heels on the floor. From here, taking the hands underneath the thighs, we just want to focus on sitting up nice and tall in this position. Sometimes just this alone can be very challenging, so maybe you just need to practice being in this position a little while. And then we'll plant the left foot. Go ahead and extend the right leg long. Kind of holding on to the left knee here to kind of help you stay lifted and tall. And just kind of feeling how this position does kind of engage the quad a little bit. So now we'll straighten the left leg, bend the right, planting that right foot on the mat. And then I'm going to put my hands back behind me a little bit here, and we'll just kind of continue that little sort of pedaling motion, working our way towards having both legs straight. And then if it feels all right, straightening both legs here in our Skandasana, feeling how the quads and hip flexors are actually doing quite a lot of work in this pose. Breathing here. And now we're going to move into a wide leg forward fold. So come into your tabletop position once more. And then we'll actually just turn our tabletop. And then from this little kind of tabletop position, go ahead and come to kneeling, rising up here. And we'll start by planting the left foot down next to us. Go ahead and bring your hands down to the floor, and you're just going to plant your right foot down as well, letting your body fold over the legs. And in this wide leg forward fold, you can let the toes be kind of angled out here. So the hips are kind of open. Breathe. Starting to stretch the backs of the legs here. If you want a little bit more, you can actually reach your hands through your legs. Nice intense stretch. And then from here, we'll come to set our weight down over our right foot, left leg's extended. So we're in our Skandasana. So that left foot is planted. So I'm on the heel of the foot, the toes are pointing up. And you should just really feel that nice big stretch in the inner thigh again. Takes quite a lot of balance here to lift the hands up off the mat, but you're welcome to kind of challenge your balance. So here we're kind of starting to work with building a little bit of strength and control in the hip joint. And then we'll transition to the other side, coming back through forward fold. So planting the hands down, pushing yourself up here, come back to forward fold for a minute. And then bringing your upper body over the left foot this time. So right leg is extended. We're on the heel of the right foot. Feeling that nice big stretch through the inner thigh. Challenging our balance a little bit here. then one more time. So we'll plant that right foot, push into our wide leg forward fold once more. And then coming to the right leg again, to our little Skandasana. Just noticing how maybe this time it feels a little different. Maybe it's a little bit easier this time. Maybe it's no easier at all. Really great. And then from here, we're going to transition into pigeon pose. So this left foot is going to kind of come down. It's going to rotate, so we'll be on the top of that foot. So you can kind of rotate, so the left knee is on the mat, and then this right leg will come through. So in our pigeon pose, you can take your prop, bringing it underneath the hip of that front leg. So now we're getting this really deep stretch across the hip flexor of the left leg, and the right leg starting to get a little hip opening. So our goal in pigeon is that we work towards bringing the shin parallel with the mat, but that is very difficult. It takes a lot of open hip. So you can kind of keep this leg in a little closer to your body, right? A little bit less of a hip opening here. And then using your hands to add any additional hip flexor stretch that you'd like in this position. Starting to walk the hands forward. And we work different muscles when we're in this elevated pigeon versus when we come down into our sleeping pigeon, draping the upper body over that front leg. Now you should really feel that in the right hip. So in this sleeping pigeon position with the body draped over the front leg, you really feel that intensity through the right hip. And then nice and gently, we'll use our hands to press our bodies back up. Smile, relax your face. And then to come out, just kind of roll over on your prop. We'll come back through our wide leg forward fold and Skandasana and pigeon on the other side. So coming to our little tabletop position, kind of in the middle of our mat, facing not the top of the mat. And then pulling up, so planting that right foot or left foot or whatever foot it might be, push into your hands and just lift yourself on up. Sometimes I find that I want to bring my legs a little bit farther apart, but everyone's bodies are just shaped a little bit differently, so listen to what feels good for you. Nice deep forward folding here. And then we'll send our weight over to the right. And then we'll send our weight over to the left foot, coming up on that toe of the left foot. Skandasana here. So bottom of the foot is planted on the mat, really feeling the toes pushing up towards the ceiling. Finding your balance here for a moment. And then as you're ready, we'll start to kind of fold this leg down, spinning over the front leg. Go ahead and tuck that left leg in. And probably should have mentioned you should bring your prop with you up here. So if you need to stop, grab your prop. Come right back in to join me. Nice deep stretch for the hip flexor. And then if you want that prop, set it underneath that left glute. Again here, and then folding over to our sleeping pigeon position. Breathing into any sensations that you're feeling here. You may have heard that we store emotions in our hips. So if you start noticing lots of emotions coming up for you when you're doing hip opening stretches, just know that is completely normal. And that as you move through those emotions and move through those feelings, you should feel a lot better, both mentally and physically. And we'll push into our hands here, lifting back up once more. And then just rolling off of our little prop here. Coming to sit in the middle of the mat for a moment. I just want you to kind of check in with your body a little bit before we move on to our cow face pose. If your legs and hips are already feeling like, ooh, that was really intense, then maybe you want to just stop here for the day. Or if you would like to join me in your cow face pose, YogaPlus, back to our Skandasana, legs extended in front of us, finding that nice tall spine. And then from here, you can bend that right knee. We're gonna bring the left foot towards the right glute. So what we're kind of aiming for here is that the knees will line up in the center of the mat, but that can be quite intense in the beginning. But go ahead and place your left leg so the knee is bent, and if you have a little line in the middle of your mat, that helps you know that you're in alignment. And then let this right leg start to fold over the left. So grab that prop if you have it, giving yourself a little extra support underneath that leg. So the idea is for this right foot to then come back towards the left glute. The right knee stacks right over the left. But just find any variation that you need to take that kind of helps you feel some comfort in this pose. So we want to challenge the body, but we also want to allow the body to feel supported and like we're not going to do anything too intense. Because when we start going into something that's too intense, the body tenses up and the muscles kind of have a natural reaction to become more tight and tense. So if we want to release tension, we need to find that perfect balance between feeling the stretch, but being able to stay in this nice calm state, our nice deep breathing. So here is our leg position in Gomukhasana. You can move that towel just so you can see a little bit easier. So with the right leg on top, we're going to have our right arm on bottom. So extend your right arm next to you so the thumbs are facing, well, your one thumb on your one hand. So the thumb is facing down. And then think about reaching that arm back behind you and then placing the hand on your back. So maybe it's plenty intense with just the hand at the low back. But if it feels okay, go ahead and start to kind of reach that hand up the back. Lots of intensity through the shoulder. From here, that left arm would lift up and then bend, reaching for your right fingertips. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't. If they don't touch, you could use a little strap or a sock between them, or just kind of hold this position here, thinking about stretching. So I'm right-handed, right dominant. So my right shoulder actually has some kind of limited mobility. And I'm definitely feeling this super intensely all through that shoulder joint. Breathing here. Nice and slowly we'll come out the way we came. So left arm can come back, resting on the mat. Let that right arm nice and slowly unwind. Also coming back to rest on the knees. This is a great little pose to get into the glute medius. Lots of important muscles. So we've got the deep rotators inside of the hip joint, and then a lot of musculature on the outside as well. So there's really a great deal of intensity that we can feel in this position. And then nice and slowly we'll come out. So you can kind of lift up that leg to move it. We'll just come to Skandasana for a moment here. Noticing how the body feels. If this feels too intense, go ahead and bend the knees, plant the feet. Just kind of letting the body come into a nice little relaxation before we do the other side. So now this time, the right knee will bend first, right knee on the bottom. So think about bringing that right foot towards the left glute or right knee towards the center of the mat. And the left leg comes to fold over. And once more, you could add in that prop there so that the hip can relax in this position. Remove my prop so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Move this left foot down. Breathe here for a moment, feeling those sensations. I'm actually feeling that my left hip wants to come out a little bit. I'm going to grab my prop. Really nice. And then if you'd like to add in the arm variation, we'll extend that left arm next to us so the palm faces down, and then reach that left arm back behind us, either just staying at the low back if that feels plenty intense, or going ahead and reaching that left arm up toward the upper back. Right arm lifts, bend the elbow, reach for your left hand. You can see how much better my mobility is on my left shoulder. My fingers have plenty of room to touch and hold on to each other. But interestingly, my hips on this side are more tight. So just breathing. And nice and slowly we'll come out. So left arm. Right arm lifts, left arm slowly unfolding, placing both arms down on the mat for a moment. And then nice and gently, we'll start to untwist the legs. Coming back to either Skandasana with legs extended or Skandasana with the knees bent. Just sitting nice and tall here. And then go ahead and we're going to come down onto our backs here, and we're going to do a little reclining butterfly. So start to bring the sides of the feet down to the mat, the soles of the feet to touch, so they won't completely press together, or else the legs won't be able to fall open. And then we'll just come down onto our forearms here. Breathing into the hips. And if you want a little bit more, you can bring your seat a little closer to your feet. If you want a little less, bring your feet farther away from your body. And if you'd like to just lay down all the way here, letting gravity invite the hips to open. If this feels way too intense, I encourage you to grab some little props, pillows, blankets, put them underneath your thighs here. So wherever your thighs are in this position, they're just a little bit more supported and the muscles can relax. Breathe those nice calming breaths. Noticing that even this little butterfly feels a little intense, so extending the right leg, just keeping this left leg bent. And then I'm going to just switch here, so extending the left leg and then bending the right, just to show you nice it feels when you add a little prop underneath that hip. Breathing, relaxing, letting the body take in all of this movement we've just done. From here, we'll go ahead and move into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Letting both legs take up a lot of space on the mat and let your hips be completely relaxed. So the feet will kind of fall open. You can place your hands down on the floor next to you with the palms facing up. Feet for a minute, your knees for a moment, moving your attention up the leg towards the hip. I'm definitely feeling some sensation through these hip joints that we were just working, so imagine you kind of feel that as well. Just notice what you're feeling here. Focusing on keeping the breaths nice and slow, nice and calm. Moving your attention up towards the belly, to your rib cage, up to your collarbone, up to your neck. Noticing if there's some tension in the neck. Turning the head from side to side to just invite the neck to be completely relaxed. And bringing your attention to the very top of your head, your crown chakra. And you're more than welcome to pause the video here, spending a few minutes in a silent Shavasana. Or if you're ready to transition out, we'll go ahead and wiggle the fingers and toes, bringing some movement back to the body. Lift your arms up overhead, take a big, big stretch. And then coming over to roll onto one side, we spend a moment in this little fetal position, signifying our rebirth after this yoga session we've just completed. And then push into the floor to help lift yourself up back to a seat. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you're feeling really good after this class, and if you'd like to join me for more yoga videos, then I invite you to download our app, YogaPlus. You can start your free 14-day trial today. You'll gain access to all our 30-day programs, hour-long workouts, and a whole lot more, so I look forward to seeing you there. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.
Welcome to Yoga Plus. Courses available from pupil to yogi. Sort by yoga, fitness, and instructors. Create your own routines. Access the pose library. Yoga Plus by Psyche Truth, available on Google Play and the App Store.
Join us for 14 and 30-day programs, hour-long classes, and much more on our yoga app, YogaPlus by Psyche Truth. It's free to download and features a variety of wellness content, including yoga, fitness, Pilates, guided meditations, and interviews with dozens of wellness experts.